The sun was a swollen red giant, grotesque and violent. Mercury and Venus were gone. Earth, such as it was, survived, but only as a tattered lump of iron and nickel orbiting dangerously close to the dying star. Humanity, barely 100 million in total, had found a new home on Europa. The heat from the red sun had melted its ices long ago, and now the little moon of Jupiter was the only sanctuary they could reach. It took the probe several minutes to decipher the strange language of the radio signals they sent. It seemed the remaining humans were abuzz with curiosity, tinged with hope. They remembered the probe, even though it had been launched so long ago, memory of the event miraculously preserved through the ages. Humanity, they said, had tried and tried again to spread amongst the galaxy, but every attempt at a colony had failed. They could send machines out into interstellar space, but every time they had attempted the crossing for themselves of the great void between the stars, their frail bodies had failed them. As far as the humans knew, they were all that was left. And as the beating red sun at the heart of their solar system constantly reminded them, they were running out of time. But they also knew that long ago, interstellar spacecraft like the returning probe had been created, fashioned with artificial intelligence as keen and sharp as any biological brain, to go forth into the galaxy and the greatness beyond. These probes had been tasked with cataloguing everything, yielding the history and secrets of the universe in a way that no mere telescope ever could. From the relative proximity of the inner solar system to the most distant, alien and bizarre things in the cosmos, the probes had been told to see it all. The largest, the most powerful, the weirdest, all of it. And all of this searching, all of this cataloguing, all of this measuring was to be in service of a greater goal. To find a way for humanity to travel beyond the solar system. Over the unfathomable ages, millions of spacecraft had been sent, but only one had returned. And so, fulfilling its promised mission to its long-dead creators, the lonely probe began to tell its multi-billion-year story, relating what it had learnt, the extraordinary events it had encountered, the remarkable places it had been. It began to describe everything within the universe. There are parts of the universe that are impossible to film. From quantum particles to spectacular distant quasars, sometimes it's a struggle to pull together visuals that help show what we are describing. But Storyblocks has been a big help. Not only do they have great space footage and colourful imagery to help represent the microscopic world, they also help us show places we don't have the budget to go. Dropped your drone in a lake? Should have used Storyblocks. Wasted time on getting footage that didn't make the cut? Should have used Storyblocks. Storyblocks' curated stock library has everything you need to create high-quality video in one place, with unlimited downloads and over 1 million 4K or HD footage, templates, music, sound effects, images, and more, all for one predictable subscription cost. As well as this, anything you download with Storyblocks is 100% royalty-free and will stay protected in perpetuity by the highest level of legal coverage in the industry. They also have the best motion library on the market, refreshed frequently, and you can save time by accessing Storyblocks' entire stock library in Premiere Pro and After Effects by using the Storyblocks plugin for Adobe Creative Cloud. So, to get started with unlimited stock media downloads at one set price, head over to storyblocks.com/history of the universe or click the link in the description. Mission Parameter 1. Search for signs of life outside the solar system. The probe had called itself Batuta. It had taken the name from the great 14th century explorer Ibn Battuta, who had travelled over the course of 3 decades across the entire known Muslim world, in his lifetime covering almost 117,000 kilometres and handily beating out other great explorers such as Marco Polo and Zheng He. The spacecraft knew that such a name would be fitting as it ventured out into the seemingly endless black. But before it could begin its journey beyond the solar system, it had to pass a series of tests. It had 1,000 siblings, each one as smart and capable as itself, but only a select few would be granted the privilege of fully independent thought and autonomous action outside of any human control. Those who failed would be stuck forever inside the solar system. Battuta had to show its human creators that it could survive the harsh conditions it would face in the wider universe, and that it could concoct clever experiments to divine nature's most closely held secrets. And so it began its trials on Titan, the largest of Saturn's moons, and one holding remarkable secrets. Secrets uncovered by a probe just like Battuta, many millennia before. Titan was discovered by humanity in 1655, when pioneering astronomer Christian Huygens spotted it with his homemade telescope. Huygens himself was a key figure in the evolving scientific revolution, and was also the first to attempt to scientifically explore the possibility of life on other worlds, writing, "Some planets indeed might be capable of accommodating several species of rational creatures possessed of different degrees of reason and sense." But little did Huygens know that Titan itself would be a candidate. And it was on that moon that centuries later humanity achieved a great milestone of space exploration. In 2005, a small probe, not even 3 meters wide, broke free from its attachment harness on the left side of the Cassini spacecraft that had spent nearly 7 years in its journey to Saturn. And it took the probe a further 22 days to coast from Cassini's orbit to Titan. This craft, named after Huygens, used a parachute to slow its descent through Titan's atmosphere, this only working because among all the worlds in the solar system, Titan is the only place besides Earth and Venus to host a significant atmosphere surrounding a rocky body. Huygens landed gently, making a dent in the icy surface before bouncing and sliding to a stop. The first time that an emissary of humanity had touched the surface of a world in the outer solar system. For Battuta, Huygens was a true pioneer. And indeed, the world it touched down on was unlike anything else that humanity had ever encountered. "50% larger than Earth's moon and 80% more massive, Titan is appropriately named. Its core is mainly rock, but its crust is made of ice. Surrounding that is a dense, thick atmosphere, even denser than the Earth's, giving it an atmospheric pressure on the surface about 50% greater. Titan is a beautiful, ghostly, and enigmatic world, because it shares one thing in common with the Earth that all other worlds in the solar system lack: liquid. Titan has rivers, streams, estuaries, deltas, and every other feature associated with surface liquids. You can stand on the shores of a lake, its shimmering surface stretching beyond the horizon, feeling the gritty sand beneath your feet as waves lap at your ankles. And all of this at a temperature almost 200 degrees Celsius, below zero. And so the lake stretching out before you isn't one of water, but one of hydrocarbons. The rain falling from the sky isn't water droplets, but one component of a cycle that evaporates hydrocarbons like methane and ethane up into the atmosphere and precipitates them back down to the surface. But kilometers beneath your feet, through the ice crust that makes up the outermost shell of the moon, there is a liquid water ocean, warmed by internal heat and kept liquid through the presence of ammonia. Indeed, Titan is the only known world with liquid both on and underneath its surface, which makes it a tantalizing home for two kinds of alien life. First, the familiar, something that every organism on Earth shares, the use of water as a solvent. Water is the container in which life operates. It allows for molecules to mix and recombine, it allows for temperature regulation,